I'm reading out of Think and Grow Rich, and why I want to share out of this book, because there's a lot of my beautiful friends that I know are out of work but have so much potential, and I believe this book has got a world of wealth. This is true stories about people who made it and things that happened, and what I want to share is to encourage to see what you have and to get ideas and to get imagination. And I was so encouraged, and I believe that somebody else is going to be encouraged by this. And this is in about the enchanted kettle, and it's a true story. And it says 50 years ago, an old country doctor drove to town, hitched his horse quietly, slipped into a drugstore by the back door, and began dickering with the young drug clerk. His mission was destined to yield great wealth to many people. It was destined to bring the South the most far-flung benefits since the Civil War. For more than an hour behind the prescription counter, the old doctor and the clerk talked in low tones. Then the doctor left. He went out to the buggy and brought back a large old-fashioned kettle, a big wooden paddle used for stirring the contents of the kettle, and deposited them in the back of the store. The clerk inspected the kettle, reached inside his pocket, took out a roll of bills, and handed it over to the doctor. The roll contained exactly $500, the clerk's entire savings. The doctor handed over a small slip of paper on which was written a secret formula. The words on that small slip of paper were worth a king's ransom, but not to the doctor. Those magic words were needed to start the kettle to boiling. But neither the doctor nor the young clerk knew what fabulous fortunes were destined to flow from that kettle. The old doctor was glad to sell the outfit for $500. The money would pay off his debts and give him freedom of mind. The clerk was taking a big chance by staking his entire life savings on a mere scrap of paper and an old kettle. He never dreamed his investment would start a kettle to overflowing with gold that would surpass the miraculous performance of Aladdin's lamp. When the clerk what the clerk really purchased was an idea. The old kettle and the wooden paddle and the secret message on the slip of paper were incidental. The strange performance of that kettle began to take place after the new owner mixed with the secret instructions an ingredient of which the doctor knew nothing about. Read this story carefully. Give your imagination a test. See if you can discover what the young man made and added to the secret message, which caused the kettle to overflow with gold. Remember as you read that it is not a story from Arabian Nights. Here you have a story of facts, stranger than fiction, facts which began in the form of an idea. Let us take a look at the vast fortunes of gold this idea has produced. It has paid and still pays huge fortunes to men and to women all over the world, who distribute the contents of the kettle to millions of people. The old kettle is now one of the largest consumers of sugar, thus providing jobs of a permanent nature to thousands of men and women engaged in growing sugarcane and in refining and marketing sugar. The old kettle consumes annually millions of glass bottles, providing jobs to a huge number of glass workers. The old kettle gives employment to an army of clerks, stenographers, copyrights, and advertising experts throughout the nation. It has brought fame, fortune to scores of artists who have created magnificent pictures describing the product. The old kettle has converted a small southern city into a business capital of the South, where it now benefits directly or indirectly every business and practically every resident of the city. The influence of the idea now benefits every civilized country in the world, pouring out a continuous stream of gold to all that touch it. Gold from the kettle built and maintains one of the most prominent colleges of the South, where thousands of young people receive training essential for success. The old kettle has done other marvelous things all through the world. Depression, when factories, banks, businesses, houses were folding up and quitting by the thousands. The owner of this enchanted kettle went marching on, giving continuous employment to an army of men and women all over the world, and paying out extra portions of gold to those who long ago had faith in the idea. And this product, guess what it is? Coca-Cola. And if you read how it started off, it was an idea and imagination. That is how it came to a multi-billion dollar worldwide employment, work, continual. It just was an idea that came. And look, everybody now today knows about Coca-Cola. And why I wanted to share this, because many people maybe haven't got this book. Maybe they've never read it. So I have read it, and I want to share a bit of the world of wealth that I've got. And if it can encourage one person, and if you can get this book, it's great. If you can read it, it's great. There's just so much in it. But if I can encourage one person and make them just get an idea or imagination of something they've got in their home, that they can think, what have I got in my hand that I can do? What am I good at? That they can prosper in all that they do, because it's God's will for all to prosper and to come to full health. And we need money to work. It's not all about the money, but we need money. And as I shared in Proverbs yesterday, in Proverbs 30, that it says, please, Lord, grant me two things. Not that I'm so poor that I've got to steal and give dishonor to your name, and not that I'm so rich I forget who you are. We can use the wealth of our wealth to help others in God's kingdom. And in the book of Acts, they all saw what they had, and they all had enough. And I really believe God wants to give us wealth, the wealth of this world, to create for other people, so we can encourage other people. And when we get something, I love to share. Because I learned this, but then I love to share what I learned. What is the point of having knowledge and having all these things if you can't share it and encourage somebody else? So I really hope somebody is just encouraged. And if you can get this book, brilliant. It's an amazing book, and it's true. And 25 years of wealth of information in this book of people's lives and how it changed and how they just believed. They had desire, they had imagination, they had ideas, they persisted, they just never gave up. And they applied every single thing in this book. And then they got there. So I wanted to share that, and I hope you're encouraged. Let me know if you're encouraged. God bless.